Hi everyone. We're going to get started with our Introduction to Finger Picking, Part 1. I had started this off. I was going to do it in two parts, but I think we're going to break it down into three. So today we're going to do an introduction. And this introduction is basically for anyone who's thought about finger picking, maybe tried it a little bit, but it was uncomfortable. So basically you're really just getting started. So to that point, let's get started. Hopefully you have your tab. It's a one measure tab that we're going to be working with. We'll talk through that. First thing we want to talk about is hand position. Most baritone players have a strap, which makes it kind of nice because that supports the ukulele and that allows you to basically strum and play where you want without having to support the ukulele. Now usually if I was finger picking, I usually finger pick somewhere right in here, up by the sound hole. For today I'm going to back up a little bit because I think visually it's a little easier for you to see if I have the baritone right here, okay? So that's the only reason my hand is here. It's not that that's where you want to pick. In fact, you'll notice that the tones change. The closer you are to your bridge, things are very bright as you move up, mellows out, and as you get up in here above on the fretboard, it mellows out a lot. So usually you're probably going to be somewhere in here where you strum around the sound hole or even back like that. But again, for today, the only reason my hand is here is because I think you'll see the strings a little bit better. So that's where the hand position goes, okay? Anywhere that you're basically comfortable. Now, one of the things is when you strum, you're using your hand and wrist. When we finger pick, we're obviously using our fingers. And that can be a little complicated because we're picking, and if you don't have something to support your hand is kind of floating out here trying to pick. I use my pinky, and there's a couple things you can do with it. I usually just touch the body. I put the thing down right there on the body, and the pinky now is my support. And that stabilizes my hand so when I'm picking the strings, it's not trying to move the hand all around. I'll be doing the same thing back here. I've got my pinky right down there to support my hand while we actually pick, okay? So that's where I use my pinky. Like I said, you can try to float, but if you've never done this before, you're going to find that when you pick, your hand plucks away and it kind of wants to move in space here. And then when you're trying to find the next string to play, it can get complicated. But the minute you anchor it down, you can keep your hand directly over your strings. Now, speaking of strings, one of the things I wanted to talk about is we're going to assign a finger to the string we're going to play, all right? And what we're going to do is you'll notice on your tab is that if you look at your fourth string, which is your D string up here, the lowest string, there's nothing being played. So we are not going to be using this fourth string at all for this introduction, okay? We're only going to use the third, the second, and the fourth string, or the first string down here, okay? So you're going to use your G string, your B, and your E. And we're going to assign a finger. You'll notice on the tab that the thumb is assigned to the G string. Okay? You'll notice that the index finger is assigned to the B. And you'll notice that your middle finger is assigned down here to the first string or the E string. Now those will stay. They do not change. The thumb will only play this third string. Index will only play the second string, the B, and your middle finger will only play this first string. They do not move and cover different strings, so you want to keep them assigned right there. Now, one thing you might want to do if you've never done this, when we talked about the hand position, was actually picking the strings. If you're not used to doing that, that takes some time. It's different than strumming where your whole hand is involved. This is each finger actually doing something. I would spend some time just kind of picking and see what that feels like. How much force is in there when you pick? Now your thumb usually is playing down. You'll notice that your fingers will kind of pick back. They pick up. There's my index finger right there. And you might spend some time just kind of getting used to what that feels like. Again, my pinky is anchored to the body right there so it supports my hand. And you might just get used to what that feels like to pick. Spend some time with that, okay? Now the way we're going to do this, let's take a look at the tab, and then we're going to touch base with our metronome. So the tab has us on the first beat, playing the thumb. It has the and of the first beat with the index. It has beat 2 with our middle finger on the first string. We come back on the and of 2 with our index. And then we repeat that whole pattern. 3 is with the thumb. The and of 3 is with the index. 4 is with the middle, and back to the index. So just very similar to our short strum that we use, it only takes 2 beats to play this pattern. 1 and 2 and then we have to repeat it to complete a full measure. 3 and 4 and. So you're really playing through that pattern twice to do a complete measure. Okay, now something else we're going to do. I've got my handy little, this is my favorite metronome here, my little matrix. Hopefully you don't get too much of a glare there. It has a wheel on it that basically turns and does all the settings and stuff for me. It's electric, and you turn it on and off, and I love this little guy. If you don't have a metronome, there's a lot of apps you can download, or you can buy a really inexpensive one at the store. They're very good to have around. It's very good to play to something with time. In some of the videos you'll notice I'll even use the metronome. Just really stabilize you and lets you get control of your strumming and your picking. So we're going to start off by setting this all the way to 60. Okay, we're going to set it to 60 here. And something else we're doing a little different today is that I'm having the metronome play all the beats. In other words, it's not just playing the down beats of 1, 2, 3. We're actually having it play 1 and 2 and. Since this is a slower tempo we're starting with, it's going to be a little simpler. So that's where the metronome is. I'm going to count it off and then we're going to play. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now again, my pinky is anchoring my hand, so that gives my hand some stability. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And we're going to stop right here at 4, okay? So there you go. So that was at 60. Now we're going to move and we're going to take it up to 72, a little bit faster. Same thing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, 1 and 2 and 3, and we're going to stop right there. Good, okay? Now again, you can stop at any point, go back and get a feel or a tempo if you're starting to come apart on this. Go back, slow it down, come back up. That was at 72. We're going to take it up to 92 right now, a little bit faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, and we'll stop 4 and. Very good, okay? Now we're going to move it up again. We're going to take it all the way up to 112. Now that would be a we're starting to get into a little more of a rapid tempo, but since we're having the eighth notes, this really is half. So 112 is really, what are we talking about here? 60, 56, I guess it is, something like that. Yeah, 56 is really all that we're at. But since this is counting out the eighth notes for us, we got it up to here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, and we'll stop 4 and right there. Now we're going to take it up one more time. We're going to go up to 132. All right, and here we are at 132. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and stop right there. Okay. So there's our first introduction pattern. Let's do a little bit of a, we're going to kind of wrap this up here and kind of go back what we talked about. First thing is your hand position. The bari, you're probably playing with a strap. Wherever you're comfortable, where you normally would strum, you can start there. You can move it back if you want. Second thing is anchoring. When you finger pick, you want to anchor. I use my pinky. You can either have it up or even folded down kind of flat, whatever's comfortable for you. And that will actually travel around the body. You can come all the way up here, and I'm still anchoring my pinky right in here, so it'll travel around the sound hole and down. So the pinky's a really good anchor for finger picking like that. The next thing, string assignment. Make sure that you only have the thumb playing the third string, index playing the second, middle finger playing the first. Very important to keep those assignments right there. Okay, if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, this is the introduction to finger picking. We're going to do 2 more lessons with it, and I hope this gets you started.